All right, welcome to this edition of In the Conference Room with Mark S. Lee. I hope you're sitting back and relaxing and enjoying this beautiful day. So we want you to enjoy this conversation as you well know. This is a conference room where we have business leaders from across the great city of Detroit, the state of Michigan, as well as across the country. And we have conversations that will help benefit you. That's the objective of conference rooms, to really give you information that you can certainly use. And my name is Mark S. Lee. So without further ado, we have another great business leader from across the great city of Detroit, the metropolitan Detroit area, Mr. Ted Serbinski. He's the founder and CEO of Loretta Technologies, and he's going to give us a perspective of AI generated event or program, I should say, that he's working on. It's going to help provide cost savings as it relates to schools across Metro Detroit. Ted, thanks for joining me in the conference room. Long time no see.
Yeah, been a while. Thanks for having me today. Excited to share what we're working on and dive into the combo here.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right into it. Talk to us about Loretta Technologies. What is the organization? What are you primarily focused on?
Yeah, so Loretta Technologies is a company I launched earlier this year, back in May of 2025. And the whole premise was, how do you make technology and IT easier for K through 12 schools? This came out of my own need. My kids go to a small Catholic school, Our Lady Queen of Martyrs, here in Beverly Hills, Michigan. And a few years ago, when they brought home iPads during kind of COVID times, I just kind of remarked, I was like, whoever set these up doesn't quite know what they're doing. I think there's a better way to make these work. And so I volunteered at the school, and then that led to, why don't I just do all the IT for the school and the church? And when I jumped into it, like, my background is a deep technology, programming, computer design, and I was like, why is IT so hard? There's all these systems. The schools struggle with so many different needs. Like, technology shouldn't be one of them. And so over the few years, what I realized was that a few things. One, to run technology at a small school or even a large school, at a minimum, you're working with six or seven different complex systems. So you may have Google Workspace for email or Microsoft. You have another tool to manage the devices. You have another database to figure out what do you own. You have another tool that manages content filtering. And so I was like, this is really complex, all these tools. And so my approach was, how do we simplify this using software and AI?
So it sounds like you're using integrating all these different technologies and different components that really will sounds like it's going to simplify, certainly using technology in the classroom across the school district as well.
Exactly. You could kind of think of what we're doing like what QuickBooks does for finances. So QuickBooks connects your credit cards, bank accounts, and makes it easy to manage it from an accounting perspective. You can bring on a tax advisor and a CPA. You can have multiple people look at your finances for whether personal or business, one system. We're kind of doing the same thing. How do we build one system for all of these systems? We don't necessarily replace any of the underlying things, but we're trying to connect it all to make it much easier to manage, especially for a lot of smaller schools where more often than not, the principal or maybe the office admin is trying to manage complex IT systems. And I bang my head enough using these systems, and I know how they work. So I can't imagine someone just trying to scrape by just to get it to work. It's definitely overwhelming.
And you take a classroom first approach. Now, exactly what does that approach mean?
Yeah, so the way we think about the technology at a school is it's not really one customer. I look at it like every classroom is a customer, so every grade. And so depending on the classroom or the grade, there's often different devices. Sometimes some grades use iPads, other ones might use Chromebooks with keyboards. Um, Depending on the age of kids, you have different applications and apps that are installed. You may have like Tinkercad using 3D design for older kids, but younger kids might use an app like a Doodle Draw, which is much more of just use your finger to draw on the screen. And and so from a classroom first approach, it's not a one size fits all. It's like every classroom can actually have a different type of device set up differently with different applications. And if the underlying systems are kind of configured in that way, it makes it much easier for the teacher to have just what they need in their classroom. It limits the amount of issues that may pop up from other unneeded apps there. And then it kind of really kind of customizes it depending on the teacher's needs, the grade needs, and sometimes depending on the student needs. There can be additional apps installed that may help with different like learning capabilities.
So talk me through that. I'm a teacher. It's just I'm teaching a sixth or seventh grade class. Talk to us in terms of the benefits to the teacher in that classroom. So, from a day-to-day perspective, what are some of the things that they can do with this that normally couldn't do, or that gives them more
Yeah, I
efficiencies?
think the biggest thing is technology surprises that disrupt teaching. Most often than not, classes are 45 to 50 minutes. And so if there's a technology issue, you can't share your laptop screen to the smartboard or the projector, or there's some iPads that aren't charged, or there's an application missing, like all of a sudden that class or during that time, like the whole lesson is disrupted. And so a lot of what we're focused on is how do you just be proactive? And so teachers can kind of log into the app to see kind of like a classroom readiness um, based on the teacher's device, so their laptop or computer, the student devices in that classroom, the Wi-Fi in that classroom. Are all of those things working, or is there already a surprise that they should know about? And so um, the two kind of most common issues you run into is for whatever reason, sometimes just the Wi-Fi in the classroom isn't working. And so if a teacher kind of opened the app on their phone and it's like the Wi-Fi is not working in their room, like they know right away, like that's the issue. Now they can click a button to restart it that may fix it, or like automatically file a ticket or work with us for like real-time help there. But at least it's not going to teach and then it's not working. It's like, oh, I know why it's not working. Maybe this remedies it. Sometimes the other issue is just laptops and computers just need to be restarted once a week or more. It's just the way computers work, the way stuff kind of sits in memory, CPU, it just sometimes just restarting the device fixes the issue. And so just having on the app, like last time this device was restarted, like, hey, recommend start with this first and then see if that resolves the problem. More often than not, those kind of resolve most of the issues. The other thing around student devices is a teacher kind of knowing in the morning, did any students forget their iPads at home or any of them need to be charged? And so when they need them later in the day, they already have maybe located them or charged them versus they start their lesson. Can all the students bring out their iPads? And then all of a sudden, three or four of the kids are like, I don't have them. The battery's dead. And now what do you do with the lesson?
Wow. I mean, I was smiling I was chuckling as you were talking because I'm also, as you know, I'm an instructor at three different universities. We just finished a semester recently. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was getting ready to start a lecture. This is at the collegiate level. And of course, the system, for some reason, wasn't quite working. We're having technology issues in the classroom where I was trying to show something on the screen. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. I was at the last minute calling IT and say, "Hey, can you get up here? I'm starting class in like 20 minutes." And of course, they came up and resolved the issue. So I kind of relate to that in a different way in terms of what you're seeing in the classroom.
Mhm.
But that example I just gave for myself personally doesn't sound like that's uncommon, even at the
No, it's yeah,
go ahead.
very common. I mean, I run into the same issue myself living in the tech world, being IT. It's just sometimes just things don't work. And I think the problem compounds itself with technology is changing so fast and so frequently. There's always a new update. Apple pushes out updates every 6 weeks. Usually those updates fix things, but then sometimes they break things. And then Microsoft, similar pace. And then there's over a million apps in the App Store. And so all these things are constantly changing. And so inevitably stuff is actually not as stable as it was maybe back in the 90s when you just had a couple apps, Windows 95 running, and that was it. You didn't have a whole lot. Now it's everything's bombarded constantly, which makes it much harder to manage.
And I'm sure there's probably also ties to the cost savings. And can you give an example or someone that you worked with or a concrete example of someone who adopted this technology and talked about the simplicity and also the cost savings associated with using this particular technology.
Yeah, so the school we kind of piloted at, Our Lady Queen of Martyrs, the one that my kids go to, and I've been working with IT. From a cost savings, a lot of the IT and technology ends up being a lot of variable rates. So traditionally, a lot of the IT model or support model is like the more help you need, the more it costs. It's per hour, someone's time. You may use an outside contractor, an outside firm, or internally, if you have staff, it's still taking their time to help with one computer versus something else. And so that our system is meant to kind of streamline a lot of that and just make it very predictable, where it's a flat rate ability to do support from a service side where it's just kind of unlimited help at a certain rate. The other using different AIs that we're integrating that can kind of help you as the teacher or the school kind of do some of these IT debugging yourself. More often than not, I think at schools, a lot of them are kind of a DIY, like they're already managing their classroom. If they can figure it out, they'd love to figure it out. And so our AI just helps them diagnose the issue. Like this is the Wi-Fi in the room, no devices are connected, so it needs a restart. And the system that we built kind of connects to the networks where it could restart the Wi-Fi. Or maybe it's walking them through a series of steps like restart the computer or try this and that. Most of the time that solves the issue. When it doesn't solve the issue, you can escalate it to like another human or someone on our team to look at it. And we kind of look at it from a just like I said, like a flat rate, unlimited help. Like the better the system's set up, the less help you should need because things should work. And so, yeah, we kind of look at it from a flat rate, predictable pricing structure, and then where do you use software and AI that can actually solve the issue instead of having to like call in a human or pay someone hourly to fix something.
So to clarify, you are using AI, you're leveraging AI to help to address these issues as well.
Yeah, the complexity of IT systems, there's so many variables and intertwined things. This is like a great use of using AI to help surface the issue or surface the latest like kind of steps to debug the issue. And so we see it from like a time savings, and then that kind of relates to costs, especially if they're outsourced costs. I think in general, we see probably a 10 to 20% drop or we saw like in this one case, about a 10 to 20% drop in cost. Other schools that we've talked to were kind of anticipating something similar in that regard.
You know, that's the business component to this. It's certainly the cost savings and the simplicity. Any thought to, before we begin to segue and wrap up, but any thought to expanding this into businesses or beyond the school system at this point?
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of interest from other small businesses about the approach. And I think in terms of the business we're building, like we want to expand into like other small business, not just schools, but other small businesses. So that way we've been building the architecture, the software and AI is it could work in both settings. We see kind of being mission driven around schools, like schools just especially smaller independent schools just generally have less money, less resources, and they're much more constrained. They have 350 users at a school, which is if that was a business, that's a very big enterprise business. But the school has the budget of a 30-person company, but they have the needs of a 350-person enterprise. So there's a big gap in that area. And so I think that's where we see if we can get the software and AI working well enough that it can help a school. It's actually much easier to now work with a 30-person business because we can already do it with a 350-person business.
It's my understanding too, you have received $1 million in grant funding or $1 million in funding. Is that correct?
Yeah,
In
so we
terms of,
raised about $1 million in venture capital earlier this year. So Dan Gilbert's Detroit Venture Partners led the round. Untapped Capital joined as well, and then we had a number of kind of angel investors from throughout Michigan that participated too.
And your objective or your goal is to expand it nationwide or primarily just expand to other schools in Metro Detroit, short term or
The goal
longer
would be nationwide. Right now, we're
term?
just focused on kind of Michigan, expanding here.
Okay.
Early in 2026, kind of springtime, we'll launch a new version of the application where we're looking for more signups, more schools. And then later this kind of summer, the plan is to extend or sorry, expand to a few dozen schools and really just get the technology in place that helps schools as they go back to school next year.
And why did you start Detroit? Because you're here, or is it just Detroit has the biggest need of Metro Detroit?
Yeah, well, one, I'm here, kids go here.
Okay.
And then just I think just, I mean, love the building the business here. A lot of what we're doing is customer focused. So, a lot of the Rocket Mortgage, Quicken Loans, how they think about customer service for mortgages. We think about customer service for IT. Companies like Duo Security that sold to Cisco for a couple billion, just like deep rooted IT security needs. And so we kind of overlap with both of those areas. And so Michigan's just a great spot when we look at Ann Arbor, Detroit. Like we're tapping into both sides there,
Nice.
both the customer service side and also the deep technology security side.
So it sounds like there are a lot of great partners here to help continue to get this off the ground and grow it as well.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Ted, before we go, how can people get more information about Loretta Technologies and what you're doing right now? The website, contact
Yeah, if you
information.
go, our website is loretta.tech, loretta.tech. You
Hmm.
can find out more about kind of our approach on there. If anyone is interested in getting in contact to maybe try it at their school or learn more, just feel free to contact us on the website there. Look at those all the time they come in. And yeah, right now we're looking for kind of other principals, heads of school, IT individuals that just looking for feedback on what we're building. We're not, it's not publicly available yet, but we're happy to do demos, show what it is. And we're just really trying to be customer focused on how do we just make it easier for schools to manage technology and IT, especially as it gets more and more complex every year.
The power of technology,
Yeah.
the power of AI nowadays, and leveraging it all. This is really a great idea. And I applaud you and your team for pulling it together and certainly getting it out there for schools to try. And I appreciate your time this morning in the conference room, Ted. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. For all of you, thank you for tuning in to this edition of In the Conference Room with Marquez Lee. Go out, make it a great day, make it a great week. We will check you out next time in the conference room. Talk to you soon. Take care, everyone.